Hi, and welcome to the Let's Talk Melbourne podcast. I'm your host, Vikas Raheja. The Let's Talk Melbourne podcast is brought to you from the city of Melbourne, where we talk to business leaders, opinion makers, influencers, and change agents. This is a space for critical thinking, open discussions, and the big picture. This podcast is sponsored by Construct Mart and Floors Trading and Clearance Centre, your one-stop shop for all the floorings and renovations. Hi, and welcome to a new episode of Let's Talk Melbourne podcast. And today, in our studio, as you can see, we're doing a Diwali special episode. We have a khas guest from Jashn-e Khas. We'll get into all of that slowly and eventually as we progress. But I would first like to request my guest to introduce herself to our audience.
Hi, this is Ridhima. I am an Australian Indian influencer. I've been doing this for 7 years. In the journey of 7 years, as recently mentioned, I created a luxury Diwali ball, which happened on Saturday, 4th November, this past weekend. We took Diwali to Collins Street.
Yes.
The whole vision
I was there.
Yes, Vikas was
I was there.
Partying till
I was definitely partying right till the end.
And we took Diwali to Collins Street, which was the intention was more top tier representation of the Indian community, which has existed, but we've always lacked having those kind of events and avenues.
Yes.
So with that vision in mind, we created it, and it was a great success. Nearly 250 people turned up, which was great. We had a multicultural crowd. So another vision was to share Diwali as a global celebration, because it is such a beautiful festival.
Yep.
And it's not just for the Indian people. And it was lovely to see how many...
it was inclusive, and there were people from different backgrounds as well. Of course, there was Indian representation, but you had, Australians, you had all Asian people were there. Yeah. So it was an all-inclusive event.
Very inclusive,
yeah. So happy Diwali.
Thank you. Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali to everybody. And Ridhima, congratulations on Jashn-e Khas. I'm hoping next year... today we're going to do a little bit of a change. We normally never speak in Hindi on this podcast. We always speak in English. So we will introduce a little bit of Hindi because there's a Sindhi and there's a Punjabi in the house. So forgive me for the listeners and viewers if there's a little bit of Hindi. I will put the subtitles so you know what we're talking about, so that you don't feel that you're left out.
Yep, right.
Okay.
Yep.
So congratulations, and I'm looking forward to next year's Jashn-e Khas as well.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Ridhima, I wanted to sort of get into your whole influencer status. Okay, like just talk to us about how you got into it, what was the journey, and what made, and because your content gets a lot of traction, right? You've got 90,000 followers on Instagram. You're obviously at, if anyone looks at your feed, you're at the key events like the fashion festival, the Melbourne Fashion Week, those kind of things. What does your brand stand for? If you can help us understand.
So, like I said, I've been doing it for 7 years, and it basically started as a creative outlet. I also have a background in public relations of 10 years at that point, where I was pregnant and I was going to have my first child. Few weeks away from the due date, I decided to quit instead of go on a mat leave or something. I want to take time and see where life takes me. Yeah. And it was in that sort of those first 6 months with the baby, started to share content online, and always I'm a very girl mom sorts. So we're always dressed up, and we travel very often.
We noticed.
So we travel very often. So there I was with this little jet setter, always well dressed and traveling around the world and sharing it. And Actually, at that point, if you asked me, this is where we will be in
Yeah.
6, 7 years. I had no idea.
So when was the moment where you realized that, oh wow, this is taken off? And like,
Um,
was there a moment you recall where you were like, oh my god, this is legit serious now, and I
uh,
can,
so look, I would say that I started in 2017.
yeah.
Coming up to Madison's second birthday, I was full on
Madison is a
influence.
daughter, by the way.
Yes, my
Yes.
first daughter, my
Yeah.
older one. Coming up to her second birthday, which would mean 18 months into it, I was in a full cycle of influencing. Like I
Okay.
had a calendar of events and content, and I knew that, it was July school holidays, so I've got to sort of alter even our travel plans around that, Christmas campaigns and things. And the content at large was motherhood and lifestyle.
Yep.
Then I had my second one in pandemic. That's when things went through the roof a bit because overall, I think there was a boom of
Yep.
social media, content creators, TikTok, Instagram. So during the pandemic, I was pregnant, and then the second year of the pandemic, I had a baby.
Yep.
So my whole pregnancy and the birth of my second daughter, it was literally a very influencer life by then. Like we were,
Okay. So you
everything
sort of
was,
knew what you kind of got a handle of the whole
yeah.
situation and like
So
what
by
to do.
that point, and also I think I had my biggest growth in those 2 years.
Okay.
Also, it was a baby boom.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of people were having kids. A lot of people were having babies. And so that was a boom. And coming out of the pandemic, I had no idea if
Yep.
with life with two kids, once it goes back to normal.
Yeah.
But there was no looking back. It was as if things kept rolling and, one thing into another, to another, another. And also, it was really important for me that this space and the community that I had sort of grown becomes a part of who I am.
Hmm.
And I am
So more
not,
like an extension of your personality.
which is something
Which is
very important to
yeah.
me because I do not want to be doing things for the audience.
You want to do it for yourself.
I want to be authentic. I want to
Yeah.
be real, and that's another reason why I guess I have a very loving community because things are very real.
Yeah.
I don't align with brands or work or do collaborations just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
I've said no to the biggest brands and campaigns because it didn't resonate with me for some reason. Another thing also is because before anything else, I'm a mother and a wife.
Yes.
I'm a very family person. So if something clashes with other plans I've got with my family, so I definitely prioritize my family.
Okay.
And maybe get in on the second or the other campaign another year or something with a big brand. So these things are really authentic. They're very real. I think that's why people really relate.
Yeah.
I do have a very loving community. And at the time I started, there were not many Australian Indians.
I was going to ask you that because I think now there are a fair
Literally.
few, and
Lots.
I should pay more attention to the new influencers. I only know a few of them. I don't know many, and it's just a. I mean, we can talk about this more, but I'm really interested to get your thoughts on two things specifically. One is, do you feel the pressure as now that you've got this kind of an online influencer status? Do you feel the pressure in when it comes to creating content? I know obviously you're authentic and that's quite obvious and stuff like that, but do you feel that, oh my God, I need to create new content. I need to create engaging content. Do you sort of worry about it? Do you take the pressure on? Or do you just feel like now that I have set a benchmark, I
Yeah.
can't go below it? I have to meet it or go above it.
So look, in terms of the quality of the content I share,
Yeah.
I am very particular.
Yeah.
Right from my presets to my edits, I do stay on top of the trends in terms of video content performs better or static. I mean,
Yeah.
I evaluate things from time to time.
Yeah.
But I always say this to my friends in real life and my followers that Instagram is a part of my life.
Yeah.
It's not my life.
That's not your life. Yeah.
So it honestly doesn't run my life.
Yeah.
Like, it is so funny.
It's a fun thing.
Yeah, it is so funny. Like how we did Jashn Khas this year. Last year we did something smaller, which was a bit of a first step and a trial, which was a ladies' dinner I hosted. I wanted to collaborate with a big restaurant.
Yeah.
One of the fine dine Indian restaurants. Sold out within the weekend. And now this year we took things up a notch and floated a brand, Jashne Khas.
Yeah.
So even while in the build up, in the lead up to all this, the hype is amazing. The
Yeah.
dopamine is incredible.
Yeah.
But once it's done, it's done. I mean, I am just me. Like,
Okay.
I'm happy to be at the park with the kids and put my phone away next
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
But if there's an event, then yes, obviously, 2 weeks in the lead up, it's crazy because
Yeah.
I'm very
So you're making evaluated decisions.
exactly
Everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if
Okay.
seasonally I have some priorities with
Yeah.
Instagram, then why not?
Yeah.
That fulfills
It's
me
got
in
a lot of
different
reach.
way.
So yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a in a normal way, in a normal week, if I haven't, probably you wouldn't see me 3 days straight in a row on Instagram.
Okay.
It doesn't give me any kind of anxiety or FOMO, which is actually very common.
Yeah.
It kind of does muck around a bit with your
Yeah, yeah,
mental
I
health,
was-
psychology.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't completely separate from it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm particular about my photos. Even if we have a family holiday coming up, I'll have outfits planned,
Yeah.
and it's loosely planned, but it doesn't dominate our life. And
And you're very clear in terms of this much when it comes to, say, your family photos or your holidays, this much you want to share and this much you want to keep private. Or is
Yeah.
it just instinctively, if you feel like, and you just share it?
No, so this is a lovely question because not many people know this, but people who followed me for long have observed. I started as a mummy blogger,
Yeah.
and then I moved into doing lifestyle travel. At the point when Madison was 2 or 3 years old, I was very clear that I do not want to make my kids shoot content for brands because it's technically they're working in some aspect,
Yeah.
and this interferes with their organic, innocent
Growth.
childhood.
Yeah.
I did it for a couple of months and then I had this realization.
Yeah.
So I instantly started to pull back
Yeah.
and maneuver my strategy.
Yep.
Originally, my handle was called Mummy in Melbourne.
Yep.
Then I moved it to my own name.
Yeah.
And it's literally all about me. Probably see 2 or 3 posts of my
Yeah.
family
Yep.
in a month or 2 months, which gives them their privacy. And honestly, this is me, and this is all about me.
Yeah. No,
So
that's
keep it at that,
fantastic. No, that's
yeah.
why I was keen to ask you that question. Because, yeah, I can appreciate the hard work that goes behind it, but also the sort of the emotional dilemma in terms of how much to keep private versus how much to share. So you know
Yeah.
that's a constant thing anyway. Now, interestingly, I want to ask
Look,
you the sorry.
I want to
yeah.
add. Sometimes I get pitched for collaborations,
Yeah.
which the whole family like. I had a
But that's
collab-
different though. That's like a
Yeah,
whole
landing-
campaign.
Yeah, landing a gig with MCG for India versus
Yeah.
Pakistan World Cup was fun.
Yeah.
We'll do it as a family. You
Yeah,
know? It's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Doing a Melbourne museum or Disney on Ice with
Yeah.
the kids is fun.
Yeah.
But I definitely draw a line, and I like that balance. I like it for me. And,
No, good on you, and that's good to know. And how do you deal? I know this is an interesting one, and I really want to know what you have to say. How do you deal with trolls and trolling? We all get it, and I'm sure. But what's your Lakshman Rekha when it comes to trolling? Do you have
Boundaries,
one?
Lakshman
Boundaries,
Rekha.
yeah.
So see, it's the part of online existence that you can't.
Escape it.
Not
You can't.
go-
Nobody
there's
can.
no
Nobody
escaping.
can. Yes, you can't. It's just the way of life.
But honestly, I've been very lucky
Yeah.
because my community is more of mums or people aspiring to be mums or married couple women.
Yeah.
It's a very loving community, but every now and then I've had people. I mean, to be honest, I moved overseas when I was 19 or 20, and I lived in the UK, and I lived in Wales, in Cardiff.
Okay.
So if someone who knows the Welsh accent
Yeah.
would say, I have a bit of a Welsh accent and going on there. Very American style of English in the Indian schools in Delhi. So
Yeah,
got
I
a
was
bit of
gonna
that.
say it's more American.
So my accent
Yeah.
is all over the world.
Yeah.
I've been trolled for my accent, but then I'm being trolled by the troll because the troll only probably knows the Aussie accent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as long as your perspective on what you're doing and you're doing it with all your heart is clear,
Yeah.
it doesn't quite dampen your spirit, I feel.
Yeah.
It probably does for a moment or two. You kind of
Yeah.
like second guess yourself.
Yeah.
But then there's more love and growth and inspiration.
Yeah.
So you kind of like switch back into your
So you focus on the
mojo.
positives and try to shut out the
Yeah,
negatives.
yeah.
That's a good approach to have.
And I'm very also very clear, like for me, it's like just block, remove, move on.
Yep.
I'm very quick with it. It's
Okay.
just doing this for 6-7 years.
Yeah, you've got the hang of it now.
Yeah.
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 So one of the other reasons I wanted to invite you on the pod was because, and we were briefly chatting about this before we started recording this episode, is your commitment and passion to highlight and showcase the Indian communities in Melbourne through either the event that you had for Spirit of Diwali or generally the other little bit of initiatives that you sort
Yeah.
of do that. Talk to us about that in terms of what's your vision for that? How do you want to contribute to showcasing and highlighting members from the Indian Australian community here in Melbourne? Because we're both Melburnians, we both love the city, we both
Yeah.
want our community to shine.
Yes.
But you're probably doing a lot more than I am, which is good. So talk to us about that vision and some of the initiatives that you've sort of done and are thinking that you're willing to share, which are in the
Sure.
pipeline, perhaps.
Yeah. So, in all these years of doing this, I definitely, like I said, when I started, I was there was not even a handful of
Yeah.
Australian Indian influencers. There were probably two more I know who go that back, who kind of like have existed from the point I started.
Yeah.
Then over the years, also as a mother, when my kids are born and raised here, so for them to know about my culture, to know about our festivals, to know about our traditions,
Yep.
I had to find a way, because it doesn't just come on its own. The environment is different. When you're raising
Yeah.
kids in India
Yeah.
or any country that you belong
Yeah.
to, there's an environment, there are grandparents, there are cousins, there's
Yeah.
family around. So here, I've got to create that for them to learn and love and embrace.
Yes.
So I've always had this really fun approach where I have put a modern twist and a fun twist on all our traditions and festivals and things, to a point that my kids love it and they look forward to it.
Yeah.
And when I started to share that kind of stuff on my socials as well, always being very authentic, it was loved.
Yeah.
It was received really well. And over the years of living in Melbourne, I observed that the cultural representation of the Indian community or our festivals or our traditions was very, the representation was very backward.
Yeah.
Growing up in Delhi, and even now when we visit home regularly, at least once a year. It's very backward. And I'm like, why are we being represented in a way which actually people back home are also not carrying on anymore?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I always seeked that and created that to give to my kids and then sharing with my community. And then it all, one thing leads to another. And I said, let's do something which involves more people, because this brings happiness to so many of us and we embrace our culture.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how Jashne Khas came about. Obviously, over these years, I've met a lot of my followers who are friends or who have become clients in some way. And we would have these conversations like, yeah, it sounds like a great idea, go for it. So I had a lot of support from the community
Okay.
in terms of ticket sales or sponsors, and everyone loved it.
Yeah.
I've been receiving these beautiful messages for the last week or so. Then also with Spirit of Diwali, which
Yeah.
is another venture.
Yeah, just to help us, for those who don't
Give it
know,
a
what Spirit of
background.
Diwali? Yeah. Like,
So, Spirit of Diwali. So Spirit of Diwali is a expo. It brings the Indian businesses to the spotlight,
yeah.
who are selling products which fall within the category of, be it Indian clothing, fashion, jewelry, home decor,
Yes.
festive decor, all of that.
Yeah.
And since Diwali is so big for the Indians,
Yeah.
these businesses have always existed and probably had presence on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
And they've run lives and they sell. And something that happened during the pandemic was, because I couldn't travel home as I do a couple
Yeah.
of times a year, I wanted some things. And I'm like, either I tell my mom to parcel it to me, as we all do,
Yeah.
or I find someone here. And then I started to look and I discovered they exist. You find out about them from friends and people.
Yeah.
You go through this disorganized Facebook Live sales system. but they are good. And I imagined even if whatever little business they have or what they're selling, there's a lot of work.
It is. It
I
is.
was so, I was like, oh my God, I have to give my mom a list and she has to put this parcel together. And imagine these people are getting a whole stock of things,
Correct. Yeah.
and then finding a way to sell it because it's
Yeah.
seasonal.
Yeah.
So I said, we need to get this kind of structure right and
Yeah.
do something for it. And
Yeah.
then I met Nidhi, who's the main organizer for Spirit of Diwali.
Okay.
She has a background in doing expos, exhibitions. She's done it in the US, in India, in Dubai. We joined forces,
Yeah.
and it was our first attempt last year.
Yeah.
We had 17 vendors. We had 300 walk-ins. It was good for a first
Yeah.
start. We found some sponsors, but coming out of that, we had sort of these 12 months to work on
Work
something.
on the something. Yeah.
What's going to be our second show like? And
Yeah.
this year we had 42 vendors and 9 were on the wait list.
Wow.
So a total of 51.
I think that's fantastic. I think I really, really appreciated Spirit of Diwali. I wasn't there, but I sort of know what it is, and
You should come
know,
next year.
I will
It's
come
so
next year.
beautiful.
And then I thought it was a fantastic initiative because it gives a lot of opportunity and platforming to small Indian vendors, as you
Yes.
said, who are in Melbourne. And, as Ridhima rightly pointed out, anyone, because if you're not an Indian, you cannot appreciate how chaotic Diwali season is for anybody. It's like constantly you're shopping, you're running around, you're buying gifts, you're attending parties. It's just nuts. So it's good to have this one event where if you want something, you just go get
One-stop
everything,
shop,
one-stop
yeah.
shop, get everything, and get good quality stuff.
Yeah.
And even, I mean, it's for me, what I really appreciated was the fact that these businesses got platformed.
That's what.
That's important, and I love that, and I love that a lot. So that's why I wanted you to talk about it, and if there are any such other projects that it's simmering in the pipeline that you're willing to share. Or is it too soon?
So see, talking of Spirit of Diwali, what had happened in 7 years of doing this, obviously there is an inseparable alter ego as an influencer where you love the name, the popularity, the work, the brands, everything.
Yeah.
But I'm a big philanthropist at heart, and so is my husband, and we have things we are doing all around the world for helping other people,
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, how can I use this position of power and popularity to give it back to the community?
Absolutely.
And also, there was only so much of my soul and satisfaction I was getting out of big collaborations anymore. I
Yeah.
wanted something more to stimulate me to grow this and
Yeah.
carry on. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And
No,
it's
good on
gone
you.
really well. Second year on, considering from 300 walk-ins to 1,000, more than 1,000 people walked in according to Chadston.
Yeah.
We took it to Chadston.
Yeah.
We took it to the most ultimate shopping destination in town.
Yeah. So that's what I'm
So-
saying. You're giving them a good platform at the right level, the right kind of
Yes.
exposure, with the right, with also access to the kind of clientele that perhaps they wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
That was
Yeah.
my vision, to upscale this whole thing.
Yeah.
Give the small businesses a platform.
Yeah.
And bring people who would potentially shop from them.
Yeah.
Who are getting these things from overseas parcel to them in the same room.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't a pandemic, I wouldn't be sitting through a Facebook Live trying to find 5 decor items for Diwali for my home.
Correct. Yeah.
And when I did, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And it was not just the transaction on the day. People
Yeah.
were taking cards and
Yeah.
social
It's
media
a networking
handles.
process, the whole
So it's
thing.
a great marketing,
Yeah.
networking, everything,
Yeah. Yeah,
together.
yeah.
There is a vision to do more.
Yeah.
I would love to add another festival to. We've done Diwali,
Yeah.
but Diwali is the biggest festival. But there are also a lot of other amazing festivals.
Yeah.
I would love to tap into at least 1 or 2 more festive celebrations.
Yeah. If you want to collaborate, hit me up.
Of course.
Depending on the festival, I guess.
Depending, yes.
Yeah.
No, so I definitely want to create another festival.
Yeah.
Another upscale festive celebration, which can be again multicultural and invites everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone celebrate together.
Yeah.
And for the brown community, with our vision, with Spirit of Diwali, we have a lot of people asking us to do it twice a year or thrice a year.
Yeah.
But at this stage, I could be wrong, but my analysis of the market of the buyer is once a year is
Once a
good
year,
for the amount
yeah.
of investment, effort.
Yeah.
It
Because you
needs
also want to
to.
time it in a manner where people will remove the time and everyone is on a budget, right? So they allocate that for Diwali, so it's a good time-wise,
Yes.
budget-wise, they can plan it, and it's like a
Yes.
good
And
kind of
look, if they
time
need
of the day.
something through the year,
They
they
always
have
have
the
access. They
contact.
have the
They can get
contacts
in
to do
touch and they
that.
can
Yeah,
order whatever they
yeah,
want. At this stage, I feel the scale is better,
yeah,
more workable
yeah,
with once a year. But definitely have plans to grow this.
yeah.
Also, don't want to give it all away, but um, there's this thing I have always felt where when I've worked with brown businesses, um, they need to upscale themselves.
So Indian businesses, you mean? Yeah,
Yes, another vision. So coming from the experience of Spirit of Diwali, there's
yeah,
another thing that I feel is that the Indian businesses,
yeah.
they need to just change their own game. So I'm very keen to do some business mentoring, organize business
Okay.
brunches.
Yep.
I've attended a lot of those in the
Yeah.
UK and in
Yeah.
Australia. I also coach small businesses. I run a social media agency. So I've done coaching for influencers and small businesses. But at large,
Yep.
they don't go for it.
Yep.
So I want to create something where we can upgrade the business owner, their perspective, and put in more confidence in them.
Got you.
So
Yeah.
it can
It
be
can be
very,
those. Way.
yeah, for their
Okay.
own brand. Yeah.
Now we are almost towards the end of the podcast. We've got another 5 to 10 minutes to go. I need you to respond to one question, which I've given you heads up. It's okay. We sometimes give a heads up. Jashne Khas, as I said, I had a good time. And I think what I enjoyed most was normally these parties are at a friend's house and it's the same sort of a thing. But it was good to go out and about, leave the home environment and go there. And, so
And you met
that
an
was
old
fun.
friend after years.
I met many old friends. I made many new friends. So that was good. And I actually went with my friends who was one of the sponsor as well, Adoria Jewel. So that was quite good to sort of all go as a group and have fun. $300 a pop a ticket. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think that price point is justified? And I'll tell you my thoughts, but I'm keen. You already know my thoughts anyway. Yeah, but
No, let's just hear your thoughts first. So
yeah.
what do you think of the price point?
Look, I think it's pricey, but I also do think that if I don't have a problem spending that money because
Yeah.
I think I'm getting what I want, but I'm just wanting to know for a lot of other people who may not share my view, what's sort of your rebuttal to that?
So,
But we're all different. For me, I thought I didn't have a problem with that. But there
so,
were some who did, perhaps.
so see, what I'm trying to what I understand here is
Yeah.
that it was pricey in your perspective if you compare it to the price point of other Indian events.
Yes.
But it was not pricey for you to have
Yeah.
spent that money for what you got for it in terms of
For me, no. Personally,
the
no.
crowd.
Yeah.
We had most premium alcohol that the venue could list.
Yeah.
I have personally never attended an Indian event where they've served Belvedere and Macallan, and
Yep.
it's usually the very run of the mill
Yeah. Kind of yeah.
alcohol list.
Yeah.
So if we try to compare this to other Indian events, we're not running any competition, any race, and
Yeah.
we're not trying to be one of them.
Yeah.
The vision is different, and it is a luxury Diwali ball. And I personally feel for to be a luxury Diwali ball, the price is really low
Okay.
for a $300 pop.
Okay.
I have been to a lot of events run by different social networking groups and stuff. $150 gets you a welcome drink in a pretty standard pub or a restaurant. And I've almost ended up spending $300 because I'm going to buy food and more drinks and if I'm having a good night.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Look, as I said, I think my only probably feedback would be maybe I know we have normally most venues shut down by 12, so maybe like an early start would help.
Even earlier
Yeah.
start. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly.
And also, I think if the bar was somewhere in the middle, that would have been better for next time. Because I plan to come next time.
But then we'll have to hear that. But well, look, everything is a learning
But
experience.
it's a learning experience. As I said, for
I
the
also
first
feel
one
we
was
could have
good.
had 2 bars.
Yeah.
And because the premium was because the alcohol was premium,
Yeah.
everyone loved drinking. Everyone had a good
I mean,
night.
of course, like you cannot host a Diwali party and not expect people to drink. Like
And that's what Indians do. We
that's
love
what
to
we
drink,
do. We love
dance,
to drink and dance.
go
That's
all
it.
out. Yeah.
Give us music and give us drinks, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing more we want, right?
Yeah.
I don't want anything else. I'm sure most people
And
I
I
know
think
don't.
at 12, when they shut the venue and we were all asked to leave,
Yeah.
was still
I think there was still a fair few
50%.
people were
It was
there.
40 to 50% of the crowd was still there.
Yeah.
And they were then in the lobby downstairs. So we could have easily gone on for another hour or so.
Yeah.
Wherein typically all events die down by 10:30,
Yeah.
11.
Yeah.
Typically,
Those
that's
sort
the
of stuff.
culture in Melbourne.
Cool.
So that means it was a great night. And yeah, hopefully we will come back next year. Fingers crossed.
Oh, I hope you do. I hope you do.
yeah.
It's good to have something like that in Melbourne, and I'm sure me and my friends we've been wanting something like this, so it's good to.
कुछ खास
कुछ
तो होना
खास.
चाहिए,
Correct.
दिवाली है.
Yeah. I mean, I love house parties. Don't get me wrong. I love coming to all my friends' house parties, and it's the same thing. It's good to leave the comfort of your home and go somewhere else.
Yeah, but then also you look at how much work you do to organize a house party and then clean up and get
Yeah,
back.
you just want to go
Why
out
wouldn't you
and
just
chill
come
and
with
then
a group
just
of
come
10
back.
friends to a great night
Exactly.
like this?
Yeah.
And obviously because we've done it once, people have an idea what to expect next year.
Yeah.
Definitely the same or more.
Yeah.
Which is
Looks
good
good.
for you to sort of tell your friends next time, let's all just go there,
Yeah. No, totally.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to play a quick fun game. So we call this or that. So you choose, I give you 2 options and you choose the one that you prefer.
All right.
Okay? And there may be one question and you just say yes or no if you
Okay.
is that good. All right? So you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Cartier bracelet or Tiffany bracelet?
Cartier.
Chanel classic flip or Hermes Birkin?
Birkin. It's right there.
Butter chicken or lal mas?
Butter chicken. Yeah.
Givenchy or Valentino?
Valentino.
No. Do when you land in any country, like say Paris or Delhi or London?
First thing I do. Or a story on Instagram.
First thing you post, okay. Of course. Is an Hermes journey worth it?
Is MS what?
Hermes journey worth it?
What does that mean?
So basically, it's if you want to get you have to have like purchase history to get
Oh,
a
yeah.
certain
Oh,
bag.
yeah,
The whole
yeah.
journey you have to
Okay.
go
Alright,
to
I
get
get
the
it,
final
yeah.
one. Yeah.
I think if you're trying to get into it now, it sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
But if you've had your profile for many, 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 many years,
Yeah.
then it kind of just flows for you.
Yeah.
But in saying that, there's also a lot of resellers and personal shoppers now who
Yeah.
can source these things for you.
No.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. No.
And also what's happening now is that people who've been on the Hermes database for like 10, 20 years,
Yeah.
they are buying the stuff because they have a big profile. They get
Yeah.
offered these luxury bags and
Yeah.
they go and sell it and make a buck on it. Like, I'm deep into this stuff. It's a whole different world.
Different market.
And then they
Okay.
go make money on it and sell it. And then the resellers and the personal shoppers are selling it to other buyers.
Okay.
So everything's like, some bags are going for like triple their price, which is
Wow.
nuts.
Okay.
But it is worth it if you value your handbags, your leather, it's a fruit of patience.
Raj and Simran from DDLJ or Rocky and Rani from Rocky and Rani Ki Prem Kahani?
Raj and Simran, because obviously
No.
the kids of the 80s, but I think Rocky Rani is the closest contemporary modern day.
Okay, here's a confession, and you may hate me. I can't stand Raj and Simran, Rocky and Rani, all the way for me.
Really?
And there's no one more annoying than Simran I've ever met in my life.
Okay.
But that's me. Abu Jani, Sandeep Khosla, or Sabyasachi?
Sabyasachi for me.
Okay. And then
I'd wear both, but if one.
if you had to choose one,
Sabya.
Sabyasachi. Okay.
Yeah.
And shopping at Harold's in London or Saks Fifth Avenue?
Harold's. I'm a very.
Oh, you're a UK girl.
I'm
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, that was fun. Now, we ask all our guests 2 questions before we wrap up.
Mm-hmm.
But because you're such a fashion influencer, I have to ask you 2 questions because we both love the Melbourne restaurant scene.
Yeah.
And the bar scene. Like, I'm a big foodie. So I would keen to know your top 3 favorite restaurants or bars in Melbourne.
Yeah.
To help you, I can tell you mine. Gimlet,
Oh my God, that was going to be my first.
Attica. I've always had a soft spot for Attica. And the third one, at the moment, Grill Americano.
Oh wow, we've got some in common. So Gimlet, obviously,
Yep.
I love Gimlet. Um, really like Grill Americano as well, and I'm a big fan of Francois.
I love
It's
Francois. Francois is one of my
it's
favorite.
institutional.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, it is an institution.
Yeah.
So I was literally there 2 nights ago.
I was there
But-
2 weeks ago, but I live in the city, so I end up going to these places more
More,
than
yeah.
France. But no, I do love Francois. And one of the things which Succession, the TV show, did was brought silent luxury into the mainstream, which was kind of fringe towards the fringe, and there was
Yeah.
all these big, massive brands. So my top 3 favorite brands are at the moment Lo Priano, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Ketone, and Brunello Guidicelli.
Yeah.
What are your 3 favorite brands?
So I'm so Punjabi. So quiet luxury is not exactly my jam.
Okay. So you want loud luxury like a Punjabi.
Not as loud as Rocky and Rani
Yeah.
or Rocky, basically. Not that loud, but yeah, somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle.
Kind of, like you can have a loud jacket and kind of downtone
So
other
brands-wise,
things.
which ones would you pick then?
Even though I love Hermes, number 1 would be Chanel.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing more feminine and sexy than Chanel. Everything Chanel.
Yeah.
Hermes, Chanel, and the third. There's just so many on the third spot. But if I really have to pick one, I'd go for Cartier because that's the only brand I wear jewelry from.
Okay. Fair enough. And what's the one thing you love about living in Melbourne?
Oh, I think there's a great balance in the life we have in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Initially, I struggled a bit to adjust and embrace it because I am from Delhi. I lived in the UK, so I'd always been in like super busy places and very crazy lifestyle.
Yeah.
But now Melbourne's grown on me,
Yeah.
and I love that. So I like the balance. I like also, I think people in general are much kinder and nicer.
Nicer.
It's
And
we have
you're-
lovely communities here.
Oh, 100% agree.
Yeah.
And last question to wrap up. What's your anthem song?
My anthem song.
Just choose whatever. You were dancing that night. Surely you have an anthem song. You were probably the most active at the dance floor.
Oh God, with all the lehenga and everything. So my anthem song, I actually really like The Climb.
Yeah.
There are a few singers who sang it. So The Climb is one that I often listen to when I'm trying to pump myself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I actually like 295,
Okay.
Sidhu Moosewala.
Yeah.
Actually really like that
Oh,
song.
good.
So
All
a
right.
Punjabi one and a Punjabi and an English song. One each.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what Punjabis are. If not, watch Rocky and Rani and you'll get a good idea of the Punjabi life.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming to our studio, Ridhima. Congratulations.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Congratulations on everything that you've achieved. I think it's fantastic. I only wish you more power, more good luck, and keep rocking and keep doing the good work that you're doing and keep platforming and showcasing the Indian communities in Melbourne because we do need that and I appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a lovely chat.
And happy Diwali.
And happy Diwali to everyone.
Happy Diwali,
Happy
guys.
Diwali.
So this is our Diwali special episode. We wrap up. We're shooting it 2 days before Diwali on Dhanteras Day. So we'll try and drop it either on Diwali Day or maybe a day after Diwali. But thank you and be safe. I wish everybody good health, good wealth, and happiness. So have a great Diwali and I'm sure we'll see you soon. Thank you.
See ya.
We would like to thank our sponsors, Construct Mart and Floors Trading and Clearance Center, and also let you know that this podcast has been recorded from Image Online Studio in Abbotsford. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening, and please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also follow us on Instagram at Let's Talk Melbourne.